I'm Emmy McMahon, and last night I had open house and totally forgot to record. So I am redoing my little presentation so that those of you who missed it can have a chance to watch it. For those of you who don't know me, I get to work with your kiddo all day long. I am so grateful that you share these wonderful children with me every day. This is our classroom. This is where we meet. As you can see, we have these beautiful desk shields, and we're the only class in the school that has them right now, but the county has purchased new ones for the school. Everybody's going back to them. Fortunately, this big black part that you see is all going away, and they're just going to be clear plexiglass, which is going to be great, because all day long I see kids kind of wiggling their heads trying to get around the black part so that they can see what I'm presenting. So I'm looking forward to that boundary being gone. Okay, so let me share my screen, and I have some things to show you so that we are all on the same page, ready to do this thing called fifth grade. So welcome. I am Emmy McMahon. My real name is Maria, so if you see it written somewhere, that's me. I teach your child reading and writing and math and science and social studies. We do everything in here. So that's part of why I'm saying I'm so grateful to you guys, because I get to work with them all day long. Let's see, clicker's not working. There we go. So last year was pretty awesome, I feel, for those that I worked with. But I feel like this year is going to be even better, because some of the barriers are gone, and so we get to work together in a classroom, and that's my favorite thing. Last year, because of COVID, and the year before, we missed out on a lot. The kids missed a lot of things that they needed to learn. We did our best working remote, and I feel like we covered reading and math really well, and our FSA scores show that you guys did a great job helping them, and your children did a great job with keeping up. But there were a lot of things that we didn't really get to do. We just ran out of time. And so science and social studies kind of had to take a back seat. So we have this ground to catch up. We have some gaps that we need to fill. So how can we work to catch that up this year? Well, one way we can do that is through something called a flipped classroom. And so that's that video that I sent home as homework. It's also attached where it says, how can we work to catch up this year? That's also a link to the video. So if you're watching the PowerPoint, if you go to the PowerPoint, you can reach it there. So what is a flipped classroom? In a traditional classroom, the teaching is done in class. The kids sit in front of me, and I stand up in the front, and I talk to the class. They call it a sit and get. So they sit and they listen to me, and I impart this knowledge. And if Johnny stops paying attention for a minute, well, Johnny misses that part, and hopefully he'll catch on later. Then the kids go home, and at home they practice the stuff that I taught at school. Well, there's problems with both parts of that. For the in-class part, like I said, sometimes they're not paying attention. Sometimes they didn't quite get it the first time, and they needed it repeated. So what we do in a flipped classroom is I send the learning home, and Johnny can watch that video over and over. We don't have a Johnny in our class. But they can watch that video over and over until they understand it. When your children do their homework, if they don't get a passing score, I'm going to reset that assignment and have them watch it again. Not because it's a punitive thing, not to punish them, but because I want them to have another chance to understand what it was that they're supposed to be learning. So that part changes. The learning goes home. Then I get a report every morning, and it tells me on their Zern or on their Edpuzzle or whatever they're doing, who didn't get it. Then I can gather up those 6 kids who got it, and I can say, you guys don't need this, move on. You can continue on and those kids can accelerate. I can take this group of 5 and say, oh, you almost got it. There's this little piece. Let me catch you up on this little piece and you're going to be ready. And then I can send those ones on. And then I'm going to gather up the kids that are left over, the kids who didn't quite get it. And I'm going to say, okay, you guys come up here. And now I'm teaching to a group of 6. And I can make sure with individualized attention that those kids understand. So it moves the level of mastery a lot higher. The other thing that changes is because in the past they would do their practicing at home. Now they're at home with a parent who hasn't been in my lesson, who doesn't understand the way that things are presented. And they're saying, Mom, I need help with this box method of multiplication. And parents are going, I don't know what a box method is. We didn't do it that way when I was in school. I don't know how to help you. Well, instead, the practice now moves to class. And in the classroom, I do understand because I'm the one who taught it. And I can help them when they get stuck to continue on. I can help them to move forward. And again, it moves that level of mastery up. So a flipped classroom does some really great things for helping kids to catch up. And so that's my plan for this year. Okay, so nuts and bolts. Attendance. We start class at 8:30 each day. Please make sure your children are here by 8:30. At 8:45, I have to count them tardy. School officially ends at 3 o'clock each day, but our core subjects end sometime between 2:15 and 2:30. Officially, recess starts at 2:30, but I try to get them out by 2:15 so they can get a half an hour of recess time with their friends. Sometimes we can't quite work that out, but by 2:30, we're for sure done. If your child is out, please send me a message on Dojo so that I can mark them appropriately. So I let the office know why they were out. Here's our schedule. As you can see, we have a very packed day. We start at 8:45 with resource. So when your kids are late, they're missing PE, they're missing music. So please help your kids to be here on time. Then we have reading and social studies and writing and math, all that stuff. Then we have lunch. Our lunch is late. It's at 2:30 this year. I'm sorry, 12:30 this year. So from 12:30 to 1, we're at lunch. Hopefully later in the year, the building will be opened up more for parents and you'll be able to come and have lunch with your child. And that's what time it is, 12:30. Then we have something called athletics and science and recess. Like I said, sometime between 2:15 and 2:30 is when we head outside. At 2:45, that's when we're calming down. There is a Calm Classroom curriculum that I'm doing to help your child to deal with feelings. On the list of resources, the important thing to notice is that we have PE on Thursday, so your kids need to have on speakers on that day. Our curriculum, reading. In case you don't know, we do a lot of Harry Potter in here, and I use Harry Potter to teach most everything. So I have found that your children are highly, highly engaged during Harry Potter. They are completely with me. They're on the edge of their seats or on the edge of their brains. I teach them to understand that saying. So I use that to teach most everything in reading. Whatever our topic is, I reinforce it through Harry Potter. Their whole group and online lessons are going to be done the online lesson is going to be at home. Sometimes there's things that I can't quite work out how to do that through a video, and so those things will be done in class through a whole group method. But we also will be doing novel studies to reinforce all of those things that we're learning. So talk to your child about what they're reading for their novel study. We just finished our first novel yesterday. We read a book called Stone Fox, and the kids were loving it. It's a great story for teaching kids how they can get all the feels out of a story. They really get sucked into the story, and there's a huge plot twist at the end. So make sure you ask your kid what happened that surprised them at the end of that story. I will also do small group to reinforce or remediate what was taught last night. When they're not getting it, I do much better with a small group. I can make sure everybody is completely with me. I'll also extend. So if your child is ready for more, I'm going to push them. We do Freckle this year. We do not have iReady this year. The expectation is 40 minutes per week. I will give them some time in class to do that. If they don't get into it right away, though, they won't get all of their time. And that would have to be finished at home. We'll have Achieve, 1 per week. I forgot to say something about Freckle. I am supposed to assign certain lessons at certain times. So sometimes your kid is going to have something that they must do instead of getting to choose. So they need to keep their eye out for that. We are doing something this year called the 25 Book Challenge. And what that means is, listen to how cool this is. Do you know what a vending machine is? Our school bought a vending machine for books. How cool is that? I can't wait to see this thing. I haven't seen it yet. I don't think it's here yet. But in order to get to go to that vending machine, our kids need to read 25 books. And we've broken that down by quarter. So they need to read 6 books most quarters and 1 extra somewhere. So if they're going to get 6 quarters or 6 books in the first quarter, they need to have about 3 by midterm. Midterm is actually today. So your child should have been reading 25 books. Each of those books is defined as about 125 pages. So I have a handy dandy spreadsheet that calculates, puts all those minutes or pages together into how many books that would be. So if you read a book or your child reads a book that's 150 pages, we'll take that other 25 and we'll add it onto something else. Stone Fox that we just finished had 81 pages. So your kids got to count 81 pages if they wrote one of these papers. At the top, it gives me information about the book, the author, the pages, that sort of thing. In the middle, they tell me what the story was about. They have to give me a summary. And then at the bottom, they tell me what was their favorite part. So I take all of these, and this translates into the number of books that they have read. We will do a lot of writing this year, in addition to our reading FSA and our math FSA. Just like last year, we'll have a writing FSA. Fortunately, there's not a huge difference between 4th grade and 5th grade. Instead of doing opinion pieces, we're going to do more persuasive pieces. The informative is pretty much the same, except they just raise the expectations of what the kids are going to produce. We actually start writing today. We've been working on social studies and grammar, and today is our first lesson for reading. I'm sorry, for writing. Math. The core content is generally going to be taught through Zearn. It paces along perfectly with our program, and it also sends me alerts. So I will get what's called a tower alert if your child does the Tower of Power and they're still struggling. So they've learned it, they've practiced it, and now they get to the Tower of Power, and that's the part that shows what they know independently. So if they're still struggling with that, it'll let me know. And I know to pull those kids. So I will use small group to reinforce or remediate or to extend. To say, okay, well, you're ready to move to harder material. Again, Freckle, we will do 40 minutes each week against some assigned lessons. By now, your child should already have mastered, by 5th grade, addition and subtraction facts. They should have them memorized or at least have what's called automaticity. That means, here's an example. When I was in elementary school, for some reason, I could not memorize 7 times 6. Don't know why, just had a block there. But I knew that 3 times 7 was 21. So when I would see 6 times 7, in my head, I would go, 3 times 7 is 21, 42. Didn't take a whole lot of brain power. It was within a couple seconds I could get it. They now should be in multiplication and division. Those facts need to be memorized. By 5th grade, we are working on some really complex stuff. And your child's brain power needs to be available for that complex stuff. I need that lower order stuff to just be automatic. So in order to help practice that, we're using a program called Extra Math. It will work your children systematically through addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. By now, your child should be done with addition and they should be done with subtraction. Because like I said, those are not fifth grade skills. Those are things that should have been done before. In order to help your child move ahead, if they're still on addition or subtraction, please have them practice extra math again once in the evening. It does not do your child much good at all to practice for an hour and a half. They're just going to get frustrated. It really only adjusts once a day. So if they practice once during the day, have a space of time, and then have a delayed practice in the evening, that will help them. Have them do it twice a day. They'll move on. They know how to find what less or what facts they don't know. Help them practice those few facts. They also get some practice in Zearn. So Zearn also has a fact practice part. It doesn't exactly link with extra math. They're just set up differently, but it all feeds into learning those facts. So that should also help them. I will be taking one fluency grade per half a quarter. And the way that I write down their grade is if they're still on addition, then they're going to get a C for that. If they're on subtraction, they're going to get a B for that. And multiplication, division, they'll get a 100. And that goes in with their grades. Next quarter, I'm going to have a more severe penalty if they're still on addition, subtraction. So please help them to get there. Science. Science is going to be a big part of their year this year. As you can tell by our schedule, we spend a lot of time on science. We have a lot of gaps to make up in science. I generally introduce a topic through a video, and then the county has PowerPoints and guided notes that I use, and that's really excellent because it's teaching your child how to take notes from what they're watching. So when they go to middle school and high school, they're going to have a leg up. They're going to already know that part. They will use a science notebook where they will keep their guided notes. They will keep data from experiments, just like a scientist. We will also do something called an aligned investigation. That means that for every topic that I teach, they will do at least one experiment. I really like kids to have their hands on science. Their hands need to be involved. So we will do a lot of experiments this year. We also have a garden that we take care of. Thank you so much to those parents who have donated plants. If you haven't, there's a lot of plants out right now. They're coming out for the fall. And we have a lot of space in our garden. So if you want to take your kiddo shopping for some plants this weekend, we would appreciate it. Study Island is a new computer program we're going to use this year for science specifically. Your kids are going to be expected to do 30 minutes per week. Today, we are actually diving into Study Island for the first time. It's the first time your kids are going to be using it. So they don't know anything about it yet. I just finished my training on it yesterday, so we will be starting it today. Gizmos is another computer program, and it's really cool because what Gizmos is a bunch of science experiments that your child gets to interact with. So it'll have a bunch of plants. They can choose for their independent variable that I'm going to water it more. I'm going to give it 1 liter of water every day for this plant, and a half a liter for this plant, and a quarter of a liter for this plant. And they'll actually work through the experiment and see, well, what happens if I do that? What if I add sunlight? How does that impact it? So it's actual virtual experiments. Some of our lessons we'll do gizmos instead of hands-on. Most of the time we'll do hands-on because like I said, I want kids hands-on experiments, and gizmos will be supplemental. Science fair. This year in 5th grade, all 5th grade students are going to be expected to produce a science fair project. You will be getting a packet that goes home. I'm not sure if they'll put the fancy cover on it, but this will be the packet that will go home. And it will tell you everything you need to know about the science fair. We will complete part of every section in class, and then part will be done at home, and it will be done for a major grade for science. In this packet, it explains what is expected of the teacher, what is expected of the student, and what is expected of the parent. And then what is not expected from me, what is not expected from the student, and what is not expected from the parent. So it's just real clearly lined out in there. The actual science fair is not until January, but we have to have a lot of pieces done before that. So I will send home a pacing calendar once I get that together for you. Your child's progress. You can find grades in Focus. We just last week got everything all set up. So a couple nights ago, I entered a whole lot of grades into Focus. So you can see how your child is doing. We also keep all of our data based on those online programs, letting us know how your child is tracking toward the FSA. That'll be in OneNote, and I'll show you how to get to that in just a second. When your child brings home papers, they can do what we call error analysis, and they can earn back half of the points they lost. So what they have to do is they're going to say, I missed question number 1. The reason I missed it is because, and then they're going to tell me what they should have put for the answer. So maybe they missed it because they didn't read the question. They looked at the numbers and started working, or they read the article, skimmed over a question, and didn't understand. So maybe that's what it was. Maybe they forgot to carry the 1. Maybe they didn't move the digits over from the decimal properly. So why did they miss it? And therefore, how will they do it next time so that they don't continue to make that mistake? Progress reports will go home midterm every quarter. Like I said, the quarter ends today. And so I will be putting all the final touches in today. Usually it's about a week before they actually go home to the parents. Please join the PTA. It's $5, the donation to join PTA, and the PTA does a lot of great things for our school. There's a lot of things that the state doesn't pay for, but that PTA can take care of for us. Donating time for the PTA is not necessary right now because of COVID. Hopefully we'll open up later. But if you're not able to donate time because of your work schedule, because of your just what you feel comfortable with, or because of COVID, that's fine. The money that you donate still gives us the ability to have things that we wouldn't get otherwise. The grading scale is exactly the same as it's been in the past, but one thing I want to point out is we do not give extra credit in Duval County. The scores that your child gets must be indicative of their independent work. So that's why I can only give extra points for the error analysis. They actually go through and analyze, why did I do that? Behavior management system. You will find in your child's Focus account that they get a conduct grade every week from me. And I'm so ridiculously happy to say that I almost never have to deal with behavior with your children. Your children are awesome. I tell them all the time, best class ever. When they do break our rules and I pull them out into the hall, almost invariably, I'll say, Johnny, you did blah, blah. Tell me what happened. And almost every time they say, I shouldn't have done that. I don't know what I was thinking. Sorry, I'm not going to do it again. And I say, okay. And we move on with our day. It almost never escalates. So I want to thank you because you as parents have done something right because your kids are great. If there is a problem, I will notify you through Dojo so that we can work on that together. Oops, I pushed the wrong button. Let's see if I can get that going again. Let's show current slide. There we go. Okay, conferences. If you would like to have a conference, please Dojo me and I will set one up. We will meet. I prefer to meet for a planned conference so that I have time to prepare and so that I can devote all my time to you. I'm not trying to juggle other things. We will do something this year called student-led conferences. They're amazing. I can't wait for you to see what your child is going to show you. If you need to contact me for any reason, please use Dojo. I usually get back to you within an hour or two. I apologize, a couple weeks ago, for some reason, it stopped sending me alerts. I had to uninstall the program and reinstall it, and now I am getting your alerts. I have my watch on all day, every day, and I actually get your Dojo messages straight into my watch. So I know if there's something that I can do to help your kiddo to move on. If you have people who are not on your child's contact list, though, I'm not allowed to communicate with them about your child. I can tell them what's going on in our class, but I can't tell them specifics about your child, and that's for your child's benefit. Okay, so let me share one more thing with you. Hold on. Okay. So I told you that I would show you how to get to your child's data. And this is it right here. So we use OneNote. Those of you who had me last year, we used it a ton. Your child will be very comfortable with it. Those of you who didn't, I will work with your child to understand how to get there. But in their OneNote, you will find a welcome page, and then you'll see your child's name. You won't see all the names like I have. Mark said that it was okay, Mark and his parents said it was okay for me to use him as an example. But when you go into your child's, you'll see a section called data, and you'll click on that. And underneath that, you will find the Student FSA Goal Tracker. And this is what it looks like. This is what you will see. It goes through for each subject, and it tells what they got on their FSA, what they got on Achieve, and what they got on Freckle. It's all color-coded to help you to know what you're looking at. Again, FSA for math, Freckle, and as we do PMAs, all of that will be added in. And then this is their science. We took a baseline in science, and that lets me know where they were. Then I'm meeting with your child, and we're looking at, well, what did you get on the FSA last year? So what do you want to do this year? And I'm happy to say that every kid that I have met with so far, I haven't finished, but every kid that I've met with so far kind of raised the bar for themselves. They said, well, I got a 3 last year. I can get a 4 this year. Or I got a 4 last year. I'm going to try to get a 5. A 5 is very hard to get to. Or I got a 2. And I want to work to make that a 3. So these are the conversations that I'm having with your child. And then I have a chart that says, well, you got a 332 last year. What do you need to bring that up? How many points do you have to get? So some of your kids, they're finding that they only missed it by a point or 2. They were almost there. So I'm shifting the responsibility to your child. Instead of it being my job, instead of it being your job as a parent, I'm moving the responsibility onto your child to say, I'm not going to play right now. I'm going to focus because I want to do this with my scores. So that's where they can get to their data. And I've got everybody's in there already. And like I said, I'm meeting with them one by one to look at what they can do to improve it. Okay. So again, I apologize for not recording this last night. I totally forgot. For those of you who had me last year, you could ask your child. It was the kid's job to remind me every day to record, because for some reason, I don't remember that one. I tell them I have a lot of things I'm responsible for. That's not one of them. I'm not going to remember. Okay, if you have gotten this far and you have been watching this video, please send me a dojo and let me know. I watched the video. I couldn't attend it that night, but I watched the video, and so I know the important stuff. I actually have a list of who came or whose parents watched the video, and those kids are going to get a reward for going home and telling their parents, please watch it, and your kid can still get the reward. I understand there were parents who had other kids they had to watch their presentation, or they had other things in their life. I know one kid's parent was coming back from being out of town, and they were arriving today, and so I didn't want to penalize you in any way. But I do need a record of who has seen it so that I can touch base with those of you who didn't. and make sure that you are also all caught up. Again, thank you so much for sharing your children with me. We have fun every day. We laugh and we play and we work and we learn, and they're amazing. Your children are amazing. So as I tell my kids, pat yourself on the back and kiss your brain, because what you've done has worked. Thank you for watching this video. Have a great day, and tell your kid they're doing a good job. Thank you.